What's going on, everybody? Kenny Baum is in the building, and I was perusing the internet, as one does, and I ran into this article titled Top 14 Legendary Wrestling Games. And I immediately got confused because 14 legendary wrestling games don't exist. So instead of going through the list, I decided to hop on camera so we could go through the list together, because I need you guys to help me figure out, are there really 14 legendary wrestling games? If not, how many exist? Let's find out.
Run, boy, they coming on.
All right, so this is from Microsoft Start. I guess they watch what I do on the internet, so every day they feed me these BS wrestling articles, but today they got my click. So let's see what they consider 14 legendary wrestling video games. The first one we have is WrestleMania 2000, which was released in 1999. Now this one I will give them. WrestleMania 2000 was definitely a legendary wrestling game. A lot of people put No Mercy on this pedestal, but to me, I think WrestleMania 2000 was the better game, simply because it was the first to do it. Well, WCW versus NWO Revenge did come out before WrestleMania 2000, but back then I was a WWF tribalist, so we were not messing with that WCW garbage. And The Undertaker in this game was perfection. So WrestleMania 2000, I'll give it to him. So we got one legendary wrestling game so far. Right behind it, they go No Mercy. These were kind of the same games now. I'll give it to No Mercy. It did have the improvements over WrestleMania 2000. So this one actually goes on top. But again, WrestleMania 2000 was first. So that's the one I have more fond memories with. So it's fine. You get two legendary wrestling games here so far. The next one. Whoo, man. SmackDown Here Comes the Pain in 2003. Whoever wrote this article is on a roll, because SmackDown Here Comes the Pain may just be the best wrestling game of all time. Some people will say No Mercy, but for me, I'm going Here Comes the Pain. You talk about a perfect wrestling game, it's Here Comes the Pain, and right now they are 3 for 3, because this one was definitely legendary as well. The next one, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. Now, I played a little bit of 2006, but I really dove into the SmackDown vs. Raw games in 2007, because that's when they officially came on the Xbox. My fondest memories of SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 all took place in the Creation Suite. I remember this is the game where I actually dove in and I started creating like Spider-Man, Venom, Batman. You go to Game FAQs or something and find a good formula, you could create pretty much anybody. So that's where I really remember the most about SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and the Bra and Panties matches. Bra and Panties matches were pretty cool. But for me, I wouldn't say this is a legendary wrestling game. A very good one, but coming off of Here Comes the Pain, it didn't top it. So I wouldn't say this one was legendary. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. They have Fire Pro Wrestling Returns. Now, this is one I hear people talk about a lot, but this is not one I played at all. My first Fire Pro Wrestling was Fire Pro Wrestling World, and I don't think that one was legendary. Again, I know there's a certain group of people who love those games, but for me, just not good. You got to come harder than the graphic style they come with. You know, the gameplay, whatever, it has its own feel, it has its uniqueness to it, but I wouldn't put it in the legendary bracket. If we're going to count this, then we should count Def Jam or Ultimate Muscle. Maybe they do. Let's go ahead and continue on to the next one. WWE 2K14. Now, I can't speak to this one being legendary, but I hear how everybody talk about 2K14, and I get it. To me, these games just started being the same year after year after year, so I skipped 2K14, and it sounds like that was a big mistake on my end, because people do agree that 2K14 is legendary. So I need y'all to let me know in the comment section if you would count this one, but personally for me, I didn't play it, so I can't put it on my list. The next one they have on here is 2K19. WWE 2K19 is legendary because it got us through a long period. 2K20 was no good. The game was broken. It was cooked. Y'all remember what happened with 2K20. But 2K19 was actually a good wrestling game. I don't think it was bad at all. Really, nothing I can even think of that was wrong with it. And the fact that it got us from 2K19 all the way to 2K22, this needs to be on a legendary shelf of its own. So I do agree. I think 2K19 is number 4. But I hope we didn't skip the rest of these SmackDown versus Raw games, because how do you put 2006 on there and not 2010? Let's continue and see. But SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 is definitely the legendary SmackDown vs. Raw game. The next one they have is Pro Wrestling in 1986. This one was born before me. You know what? Maybe it's legendary. This could have been the first wrestling game ever. I have no idea. So, hey, I can't count it off, but it's not on my list, of course. But you know what? For it to be a wrestling game back in 1986, it does sound quite legendary. WWE All-Stars. This game had absolutely no right being as good as it was. I mean, I don't even know what else to tell y'all. I'm a big career mode, story mode guy, and the career mode, story mode was really weak in this. I think they gave us a few different stories that you could play through, but it was really just match after match after match, nothing too crazy. But the gameplay in this, gameplay really is never enough to sell me. You gotta have a good story and you gotta have a good foundation around it. But just the gameplay in WWE All-Stars was so good, it's legendary. This is legendary. This was a spinoff that I don't even think they thought would be as good as it was. But if you talk about top 5 wrestling games of all time, for me, WWE All-Stars is on that list. And based on what it is, it has no right being there, but it made it. So shout out to the team that made this game. Now I can see the next game they have on this list is actually one that I don't care about, and that is WCW NWO Revenge. Now I get it. This game definitely did lay the groundwork for WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy, and the fact that all 3 of these games made the legendary list just shows how good that Aki system was. You think about other games like the Ultimate Muscle games, you think about the Def Jam games, the Aki system just shined wherever it was. They even got WCW a game on this list, so you got to give it up to them. But you won't find WCW Thunder on here, I'll tell you that for sure. The next one they have is WWF WrestleFest 1991. I never played this one. My first wrestling game was WWF WrestleMania. It was the one that kind of played like Mortal Kombat, where the Undertaker was doing fatalities and stuff. I did a video on it. Go check it out. But WrestleFest, never played it. I was a young tyke when this came out, not even 2 years old yet, so I can't talk bad on it because, again, never played it. Whoever made this list just lost all of their credibility. They were doing pretty good. I gotta see the explanation for this. WWE 2K Battlegrounds provided a more arcade-style wrestling experience with a focus on fun and accessibility. Its over-the-top action and creative match types were a hit for players. This game was terrible. One of the worst wrestling games I ever played. And don't get me wrong, I remember before this came out, I couldn't sleep the night before. I was like, boy, we're about to get our new WWE All-Stars. This thing is going to be a banger. Biggest disappointment in wrestling history, period. I can't believe they put this on the list. Where's the writer of this article? Who is it? You're right to hide your name. You're right to hide your name because this is not acceptable. You just ruined your whole list. Now we got Fire Pro Wrestling World 2017. Now this is one I did play. I do have this one on PS4. Downloaded it on PS5. Never played it. The customization in this, top tier. But the gameplay, the look, graphics ain't everything, but they are definitely something. They got to come harder if they think they want to stand up with the juggernauts these days. So I would not put Fire Pro Wrestling World 2017 on the greatest list. In fact, I would rate it a 6 out of 10. Fun for a few weeks, and that's it. And the last one they have here is Wrestling Revolution 3D from 2013. Looks like Wrestling Empire. Is this a Matt Dickey game? I don't know if this is a Matt Dickey game or not, but legendary wrestling games, I don't think so. Again, graphics aren't everything, but they are something. I still can't believe they put WWE Battlegrounds on this list. Completely blew their credibility. But I will say we got about 5 legendary wrestling games here. We got WrestleMania 2000, we got No Mercy, we got WWE All-Stars. They didn't do SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. That's a legendary wrestling game. And I think that's it. Maybe we only got 4. Maybe we only got 4. I'm going to give 2K19. I'm going to say 2K19 is the other good one I agree with. But what about y'all? Which of these wrestling games are legendary, and what legendary wrestling games missed the list? Let me know in the comment section, but thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to drop a like on this video and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Bomb Squad, let's get to that.